A common criticism I've seen of Zootopia is that the allegory for racism fails because it accidentally justifies it. This is even a complaint I used to have, but the flaw in this complaint is that it assumes the movie is trying to be a one-to-one allegory rather than just taking inspiration from the real world. When I say allegory throughout this video, I mean the rule that everything in the news story has to metaphorically line up perfectly with the root story that it's taking inspiration from. In the movie, predators start to face discrimination from prey when it's revealed that they can turn savage. Prey make up 90% of the population, while predators make up 10%. Critics see the predators as an allegory for a minority race in real life being mistreated by the majority. In the original story, predators were the minorities, got worse treatment compared to prey, and were forced to wear shock collars. This enhanced the similarities to the real world. Thus, the prey having a real reason to fear the predators is interpreted as the story saying that races have justified reasons for fearing each other, but the problem is that these are just similarities. If prey are supposed to be the dominant race, why did Judy and Bellwether face discrimination? Why are there predator officers that have respect? Why is the mayor a predator? The answer to these questions lies in the word inspiration. The discrimination dynamic between preds and prey is fantasy, but it is inspired by reality to enhance the world building. In the past, predators used to kill prey, like in real life, but in the present of this fantasy world, they've become civilized and no longer kill prey for food. The midpoint fear of predators comes from the thought that they can turn savage and revert to the violent ways of their ancestors. This turns out to be a conspiracy made by Bellwether. She used night flowers, which can make pred or prey savage, but she only used them on predators to make it look like they were reverting to savagery. So even in the movie, if you just look at the savage angle of the discrimination, prey don't have an actual justification for fearing preds in the present. Preds can't actually go savage anymore. They were tricked into believing a lie. And the reason for all the inconsistencies in the allegory is because it isn't an allegory. Judy and Bellwether were discriminated against because they were small animals. In real life, rabbits and sheep are cute, harmless animals that are either pets or food. Meanwhile, giant animals like bulls, rhinos, tigers, bears, elephants, lions, and hippos got respect because they're large and imposing animals. In real life, these are animals you don't want to mess with, regardless of predator or prey. Nick got stereotyped as being a sly trickster because he's a fox, and foxes carry the reputation in real life. Prey are afraid of predators because in the story's history and in real life, predators eat prey and generally are more dangerous. The story took wild mammals, put them in a civilized society, and came up with potential forms of discrimination. The way the discrimination was executed was inspired by discrimination we see in our society, like racism or sexism, but it was never a one-to-one allegory. Zootopia is about discrimination in general and how we can move past it. There isn't one side that's the victim and another that's the assailant. Predator-prey is just one of the multiple dynamics. Like I said, there's also discrimination based on size and animal type. Criticizing it for being a poor allegory that is actually commenting about specific types of discrimination would require you to ignore the obvious creative process and the multiple facts about the dynamic that don't line up one-to-one. Taking inspiration from a real-world source doesn't require the story to reflect the source perfectly. There are many examples, but let's look at Toy Story. In those movies, the relationship between toys and their kids is a metaphor for the relationship between parents and their children, especially in Toy Story 3. When Andy went to college, him no longer needing toys in adulthood was symbolic of kids no longer needing their parents as guardians. Like a parent, Woody had to understand that his kid leaving didn't mean that he no longer loved him. Love doesn't always mean physically being there. It can mean metaphorically being there. This works, but I don't see anyone saying how it's a poor allegory. No one's saying that parents don't get lost or thrown away. They don't get replaced by a new parent like in Toy Story 1, or get damaged and lose the interest of their child like in Toy Story 2. That's either because they didn't notice the symbolism, or understood that it wasn't an allegory. It just took inspiration from parenthood. The focus is the fantastical dynamic based on living toys wanting to please their kid, not the parenthood inspiration. In Zootopia, the focus is the fantastical dynamic based on civilized mammals, not the discrimination inspiration.